Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this is Genius to Sappheiros. So, a lot's been done since last time. I did a lot. So the level cap right now is level 70. It's supposedly going to increase by doing certain things in the, I guess, post-game content. But yeah, I got a few people. I got 4 characters to level 70. Satori fell a little bit behind because I did have to use Aku in a party to get the various chronicles taken care of. Speaking of the chronicles, I went solo with Aku for majority of the game. Obviously, I did have to spend some time leveling her up here and there. And yeah, eventually I did have to bring in the rest of the party because either it was outright impossible or just takes way too long to beat things down with a brush to get the kills I needed. So I went through pretty much the entire game of content again. I got all the chests that I missed, which, see, there's no chest missed. The ones I did miss in like the earlier content was just like materials and stuff that didn't really matter. The only one that was maybe of note was in the Gorgon area, where the area where it loops in all directions. There was a chest I missed there, which that chest, all I had was like a lance, I believe. I don't even remember what the lance was. Yeah, it might have been the flying dragon spear. It might have been that, or Longinus, something like that. Needless to say, it was a lance that I didn't really care for. Previous video, during the crafting and stuff, I did note there were some like crafting things that required certain gear that I didn't have. Those items were dropped off of the mini bosses that are in the final stage as well. So what I did for the grinding to make it a little less painful is I did focus on other goals while grinding, such as getting all the drops that I was missing. From the regular enemies in the final stage, there's actually some really good drops, which I can go ahead and point out a few of them. So as you can see, with the little paintbrushes there, it shows exactly what we've gotten so far. So the Mecha Dragons, the ones that can do that freaking really nasty breath attack, have high garter belts. We've been using regular garter belts, which was pretty good, but high garter belts even better. It does 50% resistance to all elements, or all the magical elements except Mystic, and gives you 75% resistance to all permanent effects. So very, very useful. So even if you're not able to handle the mini bosses, just killing the regular enemies, there's definitely some worthwhile drops that can definitely give you a nice little boost. I think there's like, yeah, the Holy Grail drops off those angel enemies. That gives you exorcism as well as increase your light damage. Unfortunately, that's not going to be super useful for this final boss fight, but that's okay. I could swap it. What do I lose? I lose, what, 10 points? But if I stick with it, it would increase my dark damage. But I think I'm going to go ahead and keep the Holy Grail because it does give me resistance to light, which Patch Holly is usually weak against. Golden Toga is a really good drop as well. I believe that drops off the golden slimes. I don't remember exactly. But it gives you 50% resistance to permanent effects and bad variety effects. A few other things to note. Go ahead and talk a little bit about the mini bosses, because those things were tough. I did fight them on easy difficulty. A lot of them were just damage races, like how long you can survive before this guy just literally beats you to the ground. So switching to the easy definitely makes it easier because you're doing double damage. But yeah, this is where you can get the dragon dress. All of them also have a chance of dropping the upgraded materials that you need for your specific equipment, which isn't too big of a deal. Let's see. Yeah, there's not much to say about the twin-headed dragon. It's just he's a lot of HP, hits really, really hard. I don't remember if he does breath attacks or not. I essentially just tried to do time stop and just wail on him until he gives up. He's not weak to any element, but he does take regular damage from Mystic, Light, and so forth. So good stuff there. Let's see down here. So yeah, it's mentioned. Oh, actually, I thought the angel enemy had the Holy Grail. I was wrong. They have plasma knives. Plasma knives are another one of those weapons that also does elemental damage, which is really neat. Lightning Baron, which has nothing to do with lightning. This is the only mini boss that doesn't drop a piece of gear. They drop Demon Hearts though at 25%. So the wiki shows most of these drops as 15%, so this version definitely did upgrade it, or maybe it was from Weekend. Having this plus Aku as your commander essentially makes it a 50% drop rate, which is really, really good, because you don't exactly want to be fighting these guys over and over again. Diamond Hearts are a really important material for a number of pieces of gear. If you want to get things like divine shields and stuff like that, you need Diamond Hearts. As for the Lightning Demon himself, he's essentially just like every other demon. He hits hard, has a lot of dark elements, and he starts regenerating if the dark element gets too high. Yeah, Ambivalence. This guy is super resistant to, like, I think, where is it? Yeah, he's super resistant to all physical elements, but he's super vulnerable to all the standard magical elements, so fire, etc. This is where you get the Holy Grail, by the way. Some of these enemies are actually pretty easy to blitz down, especially on easy difficulty. So, also, like, if you're playing this game, definitely feel free to just go on easy difficulty. It does make things just go faster. The Ibaraki Dojis, these guys actually drop Kishin shields. These give you pretty good block chance and resistance to or a block against physical attacks, but it also increases your physical damage. So that I actually have that on Sakia right now. This guy is the mini boss. He hits super, super hard. This guy was a huge pain to get the Chronicle for Aku, because it was really hard to tell where his HP was at, and I didn't really have any elements that worked well against him. And there was multiple times where I was literally a hit away from getting him, and then he would go and kill Aku. Which Aku, by the way, only has like 1 life unless you do some stuff with her augmentations. And so anytime she got killed, that was it. I had to leave the area and come back because she was permanently dead. Zeus armor is really, really good. Let's see. I don't think there's any. Oh, these are immortals. Yeah, we already know about Reflex. Pendragon has Excalibur, which can give you some nice regeneration. Pendragon's nothing too special. He just regenerates every round and he just does regular attacks. You can kind of just wail on him. It's very easy. Druid is also pretty straightforward. Well, I'll say he's a bit more dangerous because he just does a lot of different spells. Once he gets lower on HP, he starts doing Meteor. But he does have a lot of different spells that you potentially teach Satori. Does have the Brionne knack, which is, of course, a fancy lance. Warriors. So this guy hits like a truck. He does know that Asura Slash thing that does like over 1,000 damage. Oh, I didn't get the Obsidian armor off this guy. Probably should have farmed that. Oh well. It's not a big deal. I may farm that if I need to. But yeah, this guy is probably the toughest if you're going to fight him in normal, because he just hits really, really hard. You're essentially just trying to race to kill him before he kills everything. This guy was also kind of annoying to kill with Aku, because it's a situation where I had to get his HP low enough that I can kill quickly with Aku, but I had to kind of just estimate, because I didn't really want to count HP the entire time. And then, of course, survive long enough to not die. The Mehedron you have to beat down with just regular attacks. You can't use magic at all. It does have the Stardust Shield, which is a pretty decent shield. Other than that, nothing too special. Another note here. Nope. Capricorn, weak against lightning, just blasted with lightning. Does have the Libra Shield. This guy. So this guy is vulnerable to Holy, has a lot of HP. Every time you hit him with a physical attack, he will counter with a single target death effect, which can instantly kill you, of course. He also does multiple actions, just like majority of the mini bosses, and he'll usually do a lot of just status effects. Or not status effects, but debuffs, rather. But he also has a chance of doing Pain Bond, and Pain Bond does damage equal to how much damage it's taken. And as you can tell from his HP, the moment you start this fight, do a little bit of damage, that essentially becomes a one-shot kill, even against your tanks. So yeah, it ends up just being a battle of luck. So this is definitely a fight where I'd definitely go on easy difficulty, because you just want to kill this thing fast before it just wrecks you. The sword it drops, the Claim Solace, So what's not told about this sword is it actually it reduces your damage to 0%. The only way you get its stats show that it's like one of the most powerful swords. It has like 180 attack or something like that. But yeah, if you use it as is from the drop, you won't do any damage. The upgraded version, the one that you have to craft using this sword, has the exact same stats but doesn't have that curse effect where it doesn't do any damage. I'm not using it simply because I like the Slayer effect and stats that are provided with the sword that Akaya is using right now. Alright, and then over here, let's see, undead. I don't think there's any undead. Nope, just Death Rider. Insects, nothing to note there. Alright, nothing there either. Actually, there's one thing I do want to talk about. This guy. So this is essentially, I think I mentioned these guys, or these girls, in the Hiei mansion. These guys have really low HP, they're very easy to kill. If they get an action off, they'll usually do Vortex and then immediately run away. And their drop is pretty much everything that's available. That does include the new materials that are required for Akyu's equipment. And I did get lucky enough to get the Pretty Flower drop, which is, of course, her top tier material she needs. I will talk a little bit about Akyu in a bit, because obviously played a bunch. This blank here, by the way, can't get it yet. This little blank question marks requires a hatred location, which we don't have access to. Nothing to note there. Alright, I think we got everything. Of course, there's the Yukari King that drops the Yukari Crown. There's also the Yukari, which are essentially just the same thing, but they provide much less XP. Yeah, these guys so far only appear in the mansion, and they look exactly like the other ones. The Stray Yukuris are pretty easy to find. Yukari Sisters, unfortunately, or not, sorry, Yukari Sisters are easy to find. Stray Yukari is only in one room in one particular encounter. But I went ahead and killed all these, and I did kill them with Akyu. That's the other reason why I eventually had to get a party together, because Akyu by herself, the chances of killing a Yukari or Yukari before it runs away by herself is just not happening. Speaking of, here's all the stuff. So right now, Dragon's providing me 120 HP, 80 MP. Deity is providing me with 16% Divine Shield, which means she's got 16% damage reduction, which kind of makes her a little bit more bulky than most caster characters. Elemental gives her 28 regen and 2 meditation. Giants, of course, give her another 28 strength. Immortals give her 34 intelligence. And then, of course, we get a bunch of effects here. Void Cutter is actually pretty nice. It's a void element, which most enemies are not immune or resistant to. It does have a random hit where it hits 1, 2, or 3 times, but it's pretty nice just to do some damage. And if it hits 3 times, it does okay damage. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of effects here. Ancient Duper is the effect that Tiwi had, that does like tons of damage, but can miss, has really, really low accuracy. Suko Megamis give us 14 resistance. Avians give us 28 agility. Beast give us 17 evasion. Reptiles give us, right now, 30 dex, and then Undead give us 15 infliction, and then Insects give us all sorts of various effects. We do have 1 million volts and a dangerous scent and all sorts of other things. Yokai give us 35 vitality. Aquatic, we do have Hyper Weapon, which essentially makes your attacks for that round do double. And then Hyper Armor reduces all damage by half. She does get a Raise Dead spell, so she can revive people, which is kind of nice. She honestly has some really good healing effects. Plants give her 34 potency, and then the Yukuris give us party experience and increased POW drops, which right now our power is not maxed out yet. So there you go. So the biggest issue with Akio in general is the fact, one, she doesn't have any weapon choices. She can only use brushes. Also, some of her stats for her brushes are not actually visible. For example, Silver Brush actually increases her physical defense by like 20, and then the Heyday Brush actually increases her magic defense. So the more you know. I did get a lot of gold nuggets as I was grinding, so I did go ahead and craft all the soul accessories, so I can give a commander essentially an extra 9 bombs, which is kind of helpful. Augmentation-wise, maxing out brushes, of course, just gives her plenty of stuff. I still don't know what physical strike back means, because I don't think I've ever seen it do anything. You can also, of course, just max out her Omen if you just want her as a commander to buff up as much of your grinding as possible. Poetry kind of just makes her give her a little bit more survivability. So if you don't actually bother to get these plus lives from her augmentation, she only has 1 life unless you equip her with certain accessories. Obviously, she has a path for physical attacks and a path for magical attacks. Compared to Satori, like the person you compare to is Satori, because she gets a lot of monster skills as well. Satori tends to have a lot of branches that affect things like debuffing and status effects, while Akio seems to be more just purely focused on actually doing damage or healing. Akio is probably a bit bulkier than Satori once you get things going. The biggest issue, of course, Satori's stuff, it can be kind of hard to do, because obviously you have to get the monster to hit her, and certain spells are just a pain to make that happen, such as leaf barrier and things like that. For Akio, she just has to kill a monster, which in the early game is pretty easy. The only bad part is finding all those monsters and getting the encounters you need, and then of course, actually getting the kill before anything happens. And then later on, it becomes much more difficult when you have to bring a group to help. The biggest obstacle in the late game was Sakia. Every opportunity where she can do a double strike, or crit, or do both, she would do it and then kill the monster before Akio could, which was really, really annoying. The biggest issue with Akio, though, is despite the difficulty for Satori, you don't really need to grab everything. You just need to grab the spells you care about, assuming you know where they're at and they exist. But for Akio, like if you want to get her like her fancy N-tier skills and stuff like that, you have to go in order, or you don't even have to go in order. It's based off the number of a creature type that you're getting. So you pretty much have to just fight everything. And eventually you'll get to the point where you actually have some okay skills. Speaking of skills, like I mentioned, I did briefly scroll down and showed a bunch of them, but yeah, she gets a lot of stats effects. She gets a few world effects, gets Raise Dead, gets Area Heal. Drain Sword's pretty good. And then she gets all sorts of various spell effects. A few things to note is some of them are locked behind having the land power at a certain level, so be aware of that. She does get access to Refresh, which is just a really, really good heal spell. That also cures status effects. She does get Azuma Slash, which is does hit twice, which is very good for a physical attack if you do want to get just multiple hits in. And then her spell, as far as I know, she doesn't learn any last spells, but she does have regular spell cards. The Dragon's Neck one is pretty good. It essentially does all 4 of the basic elements, and it will always target their weakness, which is always good if they have one. The Hyper Weapon I already mentioned. Vulnerary is a really good healing spell that also gets rid of variety effects. She does get a tank stance, and she also, of course, like I mentioned before, has the Hyper Armor and all that good stuff. So yeah, a lot of neat little things that she can mess around with. Like her damage is comparable to probably Satori's, which isn't the best, but she does have a lot of flexibility as far as just doing variety of effects. And with the right equipment, she kind of can tank okay. She's no Alice, but having that Divine Barrier, she can get quite a bit done. If you get every single, Immortal or whatever it is, she essentially will get 20% Divine Shield. And if you were to stack that with all the Divine accessories and maybe some, like one of the physical ones, you could probably make her immune to one entire damage type, possibly. I'm not exactly sure if they stack or not. Anyway, sorry, I've been talking all about just everything I've done for grinding, but yeah, there was a lot to do. Let's go ahead and go over our current formation. So right now I'm doing Sunshine Lunch, with the A team here, and with Akio as commander. The goal here is to take advantage of Akio's commander abilities. Both her commander skills only require 1 bomb, and they have 1 turn cooldown, so with 14 bombs, I can definitely get quite a bit done. The only thing I'm not certain about is how effective they are. I don't know how powerful Explosion is, but the healing spell will heal everybody and get rid of status effects and debuffs. So as long as I don't get instantly killed, I can use Akio to kind of just keep everyone topped off while they focused on actually fighting the final battle here. Speaking of, I'm going to be doing something ridiculous for this final battle. Either it will work or it won't, and I'll have to do some more grinding, because I don't exactly want to grind the rest of the party right now. So the idea is I'm going to be fighting a normal difficulty, and I'm going to see how far I can get with just 1 team. The general idea is you're supposed to try to get as far as you can with 1 team, and then swap in to carry the rest of the battle forward. But I'm hoping maybe I can just kind of do it like slow burn the first, like maybe first phase, and then rush the second phase, and then kind of just try to see if I can make it through the final phase with whatever I have left. The biggest issue, of course, is some of these characters only have so much MP and so many bombs, so I definitely need to be aware of that. Augmentations. Alice is, of course, going full manipulation, full tank. So one thing to note, there's a cap on HP. It caps at 999. If I were to go with the final tier of creation, it would actually hit the cap. But since I intend on leveling up further than 70 in the future, I figured this is probably good enough. So I went ahead and used those remaining points to kind of just buff up other things, like Puppetry to get some extra resistance and magic defense. My biggest concern is instant death effects, because I don't know how many of those I need to worry about. As for skills, nothing really to point out. I'm going to be using Marionette here, which we'll go ahead and put that at top. Yeah, nothing really to note about Alice there. Her equipment, she's using the Aegis, of course. She's using Zeus Armor. Zeus Armor is like crazy good. It has high resistance, it does have magic defense, has really high physical defense. I did get Necklace of Protection tier 4 now. I did go ahead and give her the Princess's Kerchief just to give her death resistance, just in case. And then the High Garter Valve is just going to kind of ensure she doesn't get any status effects. For Alice, I went full Time Stop, because having that extra round of Time Stop is really, really nice. We do have Made Knowledge up to 20. I did try 25, but the armor I have is still better, even at level 70. Of course, maxed out Two-Handed Sword, some points in Strength, and then some points in Illusion and Killer. Killer does get you some accuracy, which she desperately needed, and then it gives her a little bit of death resistance, which is always nice. And then over here, the 3 points in Illusion is just for the attack increase, and that's it. Gear-wise, she of course is using her best Two-Handed Sword. She's using the Kishin Shield, which I talked about earlier, for the extra slashing damage. Mononushi Armor is just high defense and does provide some earth resistance. And then I just have the highest strength ring equipped, and then as much accuracy as I can stack for the remaining 2 slots. Aya is full swords, full ground combat, aerial combat up to the evasion increase, and then Tengu's status is just to give her a little bit more bulkiness and some emergency evade, which is always nice. Equipment-wise, she's using the Kusanagi no Tsurugi. There are some swords that have higher physical attack, but this thing has Slayer, which will work against deities. Has Exorcism. It also increases just a lot of other stats. She does have the Stardust Shield, which was from the Marissa Yukari thing, mini-boss thing. Blocks the physical attacks and then has a quarter chance to block all the elements. It's a really good shield. Hades Armor. It's a fancy armor that also dropped. I think I got that. Oh, sorry. So the Obsidian Armor I did get. I now remember. So with the Obsidian Armor, you can craft the Hades Armor. And the Hades Armor has not only really high physical defense and decent magic defense, it also gives you some resistance to slash, stab, and striking. We do have the Dragon Scale just to get some elemental resistance. I pretty much was trying to shore up her weakness to earth damage, and then everything else is just increased evasion and increased strength. I feel like I'm missing something. I am, in fact, missing something. Yeah, we want a Necklace of Rage, actually. There we go. That's slightly better. Alright, skill-wise, nothing to really point out. She's going to be using Dragon Fang Strike and maybe Meteor Zapper. And then everything else is kind of just there if I need it. And then, of course, she did learn Tengu's close-up reporting, which makes an enemy go last. but it feels like it misses more often than it hits. So you're generally better off just using Tengu's Aid, or using her spell card. Oh yeah, I didn't go over Sakuya's skills. There's nothing really to point out. Just Full Moon Revenge is going to be, and Perfect Squares, Private Square is going to be all she's going to be using. Satori, full Third Eye, full Satori, mostly full stabs, the rest into intelligence. Nothing too special. We're not going to be worrying about status effects. I brought only area heal this time around, because I'm hoping that Aki will do the healing for us, and then that gives her a nice spread of a few elements that she can take, as well as Energy Drain and Leaf Barrier. And then I took all of her spell cards because I have the slots for it. Equipment-wise, she is using just the best staff she can get a hold of besides the one that Patchouli is using. She's using Anti-Magic Rune Shield. She's equipped with the Dragon Dress, which just has really good magic defense, resistance, and physical defense. And then I have a few things. I do have a regular Garter Belt just to kind of give her some resistance to permanent effects and general resistances, and then everything else is just to bolster her magic attack as much as she can. Patchouli, pretty straightforward here. Full elemental magic, which unfortunately I'm probably not going to be able to take advantage of as much. Actually, you know what? Since I'm probably not going to... Yeah, I don't think... Maybe I want crit instead. I don't know. So the reason why I'm hesitant is there is a mechanic where if the certain elements are full, it's going to make the third phase a bit more painful. But for right now, full elemental magic, magic control at 20. We got one weak girl, which just gets our... I went ahead and grabbed that extra magic defense, and then stabs up to 16 as usual. Skill-wise, she has a spread of all the basic elements. She has active elemental, just... usually I use this to max out an element, but for this I'll actually probably be using it to make sure an element doesn't get maxed out. And then, of course, we have all the top-tier spells for all the elements, including Darkness. Starburst and Artemis Necklace, I think, are new spells you guys haven't seen before. They are essentially just stronger versions of Silent Selene and Royal Flare with a large cooldown. And that's pretty much it. So there you go, that's the team we're going to be playing with. It took us a lot of time to kind of go over all the stuff we went through, so you know what, we're just going to call it a video here, and next time we will attempt this bad idea. Sorry for this video not actually having any gameplay, but there was a lot to go over. So, with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I am the Depressed Hero, this is Genius Sappheiros, I'll see you guys in a bit.